Today I am going to speak about customs duty. Customs duty refers to the tax imposed on goods when they are transported across national borders. Under 156 of the rules of Customs Duty Act 1962, the power to make rules and regulations have been given to the government. There are so many different regulations, rules, and act under customs laws. Customs Act 1962, Customs Rules 2007, rules on valuation of importation, exportation, regulations, baggage rules, so many of them. Depending on the requirement, we need to refer into these different documents at the different chapters and paragraphs. Under Customs Act 1962, Section 2, we can find many definitions of the terms used in the Customs Act. Then another basic aspect which we should be clear of is the area. When we are talking about importation or exportation into or from India, what does India mean? What are the borders? So we have Indian custom waters, Indian territorial waters, exclusive economic zone pertaining to the boundary of the ocean up to 12 nautical mile, 24 nautical mile, and up to 200 nautical miles also, depending on what we are looking at. As I earlier mentioned, proper definitions we need to look into under Section 2 of Customs Act 1962. The important ones are pertaining to importer or imported goods or importation. Goods under Section 2, subsection 22 include vessels, aircrafts, vehicles, stores, baggage, currency, and negotiable instruments, and any other kind of movable property. Other definitions include entry, export goods, exporter, foreign going vessel or aircraft, all this. Customs area, customs station, dutiable goods, duty, board, coastal goods, conveyance, customs airport. These are all different definitions which we should be clear of. And the normal tariffs imposed under the Customs Act are specified in the Customs Tariff Act 1975. And otherwise, customs duties are calculated also by means of deduction or computation and such methods. A rate of duty, as I just mentioned, its determination is under Section 15 of the Customs Act 1962. And as far as clearance of goods in the customs warehouse for home consumption are concerned, this is deliberated under Section 68. And those goods which have been cleared for home consumption under Bill of Entry are also covered under Section 46. Clearance of imported goods are broadly covered for home consumption under Section 47 of the Customs Act. And while clearing for home consumption, the duty is levied as imposed by the proper officer. Dutiable goods are specified under Section 12 of the Customs Act. And you may note that only goods are dealt with in the Customs Act. Services are not dealt in this. And under Section 16(1), a taxable event arises only when proper officer makes an order permitting clearance. granted and loading of the goods for exportation took place under Section 51 of the Customs Act. There are some other definitions like jetsam, flotsam, wreckage. These are pertaining to the vessels used for conveyance of goods. And jetsam are the items discarded, cargo discarded from a ship or wreckage. Jetsam pertains to jettisoning. Jettisoning means disposing. Derelict is another thing. Flotsam is the items discarded which float around on the surface of the ocean. And these definitions figure under Section 21 of the Customs Act. Goods shall be chargeable to duty in accordance with provisions of subsection 2, where exemption of levy of duty are mentioned in terms of pilfered goods under Section 13 and damaged goods under Section 22 and destroyed goods under Section 23. When we are talking about the customs duty, we may also be clear of one or two terms such as FOB and CIF. FOB means free on board at the port of exportation. Whatever expenditure the exporter had incurred for putting the cargo onto the ship at the port of exportation, this is FOB. When you add the cost of freight and insurance extra to FOB, we will get CIF or assessable value. CIF means cost, insurance, and freight. Where insurance charges are not given or we can't find, then we may broadly take it as 1.125% of the FOB value. And in terms of cost, freight charges, if not given or can't compute, then normally it is taken as 20% of the FOB value. So the final CF value what we get is also termed as the assessable value, which need to be converted into the currency in which it is paid, normally the domestic currency of the importer. And that exchange rate taken is as prescribed by the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs as on the date of entry of items into Indian territorial waters or at the custom barriers, so to say. And the rates of taxes also will be taken as per the bill of entry or the date of entry, whichever is the latest. Clearance of goods for exportation are covered under Section 51 and determination of rate of duty and tariff valuation under Section 16, both for exportation. Now in the course which we mentioned for importation, the license fees, royalty fees, or some commission paid to the agents, these are all included. Some materials provided by the importer to the exporter, tools given free of cost, engineering development, design work fees provided, packaging costs, handling costs, all these are added in the costs. These are as per the customs valuation, determination of value of imported goods rules, 2007 Rule 10. It covers cost of services. And rate of exchange, as I already mentioned, as prescribed by the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. Value is again defined under Section 2, subsection 41 of Customs Act 1962. insurance cost calculations I already mentioned. Transaction value, what all ingredients go into it, I have already mentioned, as mentioned under Rule 10 of Customs Valuation Rule 2007. Different methods of computation of duty, I mentioned under Rule 9, we have got a residual method. Rule 8, we have got computation value, computed value. Under Rule 7, we have got deductive value. Deductive means whatever identical or similar goods have been imported, same value will be imposed. Computed means we are computing as per our knowledge. Rule 6 broadly talks about the determination of value, where value cannot be determined under Rule 345. Rule 345 are normally used to calculate the value of importation, in which similar goods and identical goods I already mentioned as the definitions we can look up in section 2. Rule 5 mentions transaction value of similar goods, and Rule 4 transaction value of identical goods. Now, an importer can declare the value or assessable value, and it's on to the proper officer whether to accept or reject the same. Rule 12 gives the rejection of declared value provisions under Customs Valuation Rules 2007. Valuation of goods are broadly mentioned under Section 14 of Customs Act. Bona fide baggage is another aspect which is covered under Section 79. What we can carry, a passenger can carry with him within a limit and beyond a limit, also as prescribed. Duty-free allowances are there for Indian origin passengers up to 50,000, otherwise generally up to 15,000. And some other items are alcohol or liquor up to 2 liters, cigarettes, 100 numbers and stuff like that. Now, declaration can be done by owner of baggage under Section 77. And determination of rate of duty and tariff valuation on that baggage is under Section 78. Temporary detention of baggage can happen in case if some rules or regulations are not followed, restricted items are imported extra under Section 80 of Customs Act 1962. Baggage rules, as I already mentioned, importation and exportation rules exist separately. We also have green and red channels for the purpose of customs clearance of arriving passengers. Green channel for passengers not having any dutiable goods, and red channel for passengers having dutiable goods. Baggage is mentioned under Section 2, subsection 3 of the Customs Act. And baggage rules are 2016, baggage regulations 1967. Seizure of goods, documents and things can happen under Section 110 if the proper officer has reason to believe that any goods are liable to confiscation under this Act. Interest on delayed payment of duty also can be imposed by the proper officer under Section 28 AA of Customs Act. Drawback of duty also can happen. Assessment of duty is done under Section 17 of the Customs Act, and provisional assessment of duty under Section 18. Provisional assessment is resorted to when there could be delay in the assessment of the duty because there is some inquiry required into the items or the process of importation. There are further requirement of verifying some documents or to carry out some tests, additional tests, chemical tests or something like that. Baggage Rules 2016 Annexure 1 gives a list of items which are restricted to be imported or brought along as part of the package. Now, Section 114 gives penalty for attempt to export goods improperly. And at that time, the clause for confiscation also could be evoked by the proper officer. Confiscation under section 113. And when can that happen? When the ports are bypassed, or the routes are not adhered to, or the concealment of item is carried out, or forbidden goods are tried to be exported, concealed, or that the different kind of fraudulent attempts which exporter makes would lead to confiscation of goods. Penalty is dealt under section 112 for improper importation of goods, similar to exportation, using unfair means or restricted items like that. Section 111 deals with confiscation of improperly imported goods. Section 119 deals with confiscation of goods used for concealing smuggled goods. So with that, we have come to the end of this presentation. I hope we have got a broad overview of importation aspects. Thank you.